My dad texted me, "Don't even think about coming over. You and your wife only embarrass us." I read it twice, then a third time. I didn't reply. I didn't argue. I didn't call my mom to smooth it over like I always did. I simply logged into my bank app and pressed cancel. My name is Colton Avery. I'm 34, born and raised in a town where family reputation mattered more than family truth. I run a small HVAC company, the kind where your hands stay rough no matter how much money you make. My wife, Marissa, teaches second grade. She's the kind of person who still writes thank you notes by hand. Apparently that embarrassed them. The cancel button wasn't dramatic. No music. No shaking hands. Just one quiet click ending the automatic monthly transfer I'd been sending my parents for 3 years. Mortgage support. Temporary help. Just until things stabilize. They stabilized. They just never told me. I stared at the confirmation screen while Marissa folded laundry on the couch. She didn't ask what I was doing. She trusted me. That's what made the text sting worse. A month later, on my parents' anniversary, everything started to fall apart. And this time, I didn't step in to hold it together. The thing about being the responsible son is nobody officially assigns it to you. Just happens. I was 19 when Dad's construction business hit a rough year. 22 when I co-signed their refinance. 26 when Mom cried at my kitchen table saying, "We just need a little breathing room." That breathing room turned into $2,300 a month, every month, like clockwork. They told people I was helping out. What they didn't say was that without me they would have lost the house twice. Marissa knew about the transfers before we got married. I showed her everything, bank statements, spreadsheets, the works. She didn't flinch. She just asked, "Do they appreciate it?" I laughed then. That should have been my first answer. The embarrassment thing started small. Comments about Marissa's thrift store dress at Thanksgiving. Jokes about her public school salary. Dad once muttered, "Some people just don't fit certain rooms." He didn't look at her when he said it. He looked at me. Still I paid. Because loyalty isn't loud. It's repetitive. When I canceled that transfer, I didn't do it out of anger. I did it because something shifted. Like a floorboard finally giving way under too much weight. Their anniversary party was scheduled at a country club 30 minutes outside town. I wasn't invited. But apparently, my money still was. The anniversary invitation never came, but the Facebook posts did. Crystal chandeliers. A string quartet warming up. A champagne tower tall enough to require a ladder. My mom smiling in a navy dress that probably cost more than my first truck. The caption read, 35 years of building a beautiful life. I stared at that word, building. Dad had once told me real builders don't cut corners. Funny how easily he forgot that when it came to the truth. Marissa was grading papers at the dining table when I walked in from the garage. The smell of motor oil still clung to my hands. I showed her the photos without saying anything. She studied them carefully. Not jealous. Not angry. Just observant. "That looks expensive," she said softly. "It is." Neither of us mentioned the canceled transfer. We didn't need to. The numbers would speak soon enough. What they didn't know was how the payments had been structured. I hadn't just been covering their mortgage. I'd been listed as a secondary guarantor on 2 business credit lines Dad insisted were temporary. Temporary is a word people use when they don't want to admit permanent dependence. When I pressed cancel, it triggered more than one notification. That night, as the anniversary speeches started and glasses clinked under golden light, my phone buzzed. It was Dad. Not a celebration message. A question. The message wasn't long. Did something happen with the bank? No hello. No anniversary cheer. Just logistics. I imagined him stepping away from the ballroom, loosening his tie near the coat check, staring at his phone while guests laughed behind him. I didn't answer right away. I let the silence sit there, something I'd never done before. 5 minutes later, another text. "Call me. It's urgent." Marissa looked up from the couch. "Is it him?" "Yeah." She waited. Not pushing. Just present. That's what she does, she gives space instead of pressure. It's a small kindness most people don't notice. I called. Dad picked up on the first ring. His voice was tight. Controlled. "The transfer didn't go through." "I know." "Boss, what do you mean you know?" "I canceled it." The string quartet must have been mid-song because I could hear muffled violins in the background. For a second, neither of us spoke. Then he lowered his voice. "Colton, tonight is not the time for this." I leaned against the kitchen counter, staring at the worn edge where years of elbows had left marks. Tonight seemed like exactly the time. Another pause. He wasn't angry yet. He was calculating. You're overreacting about that text. No, I said quietly. I'm responding. Behind him, I heard my mom laugh into a microphone. Something in that laugh sounded expensive. And very fragile. Responding to what? Dad asked, his voice thinning. To being told my wife embarrasses you. Silence. Then the familiar sigh. The one he used when he wanted to sound reasonable. Colton, you know how your mother is about appearances. It wasn't meant like that. It was written exactly like that. In the background, the music stopped. A ripple of applause followed. Someone tapped a glass for attention. Dad lowered his voice further. This isn't about feelings right now. The credit line payment bounced. The bank flagged the guarantor account. There isn't one anymore. You can't just pull out without notice. I gave notice 3 years ago, I said. Every month. He didn't like that. I could picture him scanning the room, smiling at guests while his jaw tightened. That dual performance, public charm, private pressure, was something I grew up watching. You're putting us in a bad position, he said finally. I almost laughed. I thought I was the embarrassing one. He didn't respond to that. Instead, he said the one thing he always says when control starts slipping. After everything we've done for you. That sentence used to work. It used to pull guilt like a fishing line hooked deep in my ribs. Tonight it just sounded rehearsed. Across the room, Marissa stood and walked toward me. She didn't speak. She just slipped her hand into mine. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like the smaller man in the conversation. After everything you've done for me? I repeated, keeping my voice steady. Name one thing that required a monthly invoice. He exhaled sharply. Don't twist this. I'm not twisting anything. I'm untangling it. There was movement on his end, doors opening, closing. The music faded further away. He must have stepped outside. I imagined the country club patio lights glowing against the dark lawn, guests unaware that the foundation beneath their champagne glasses was cracking. Colton, he said, softer now. You're making this bigger than it needs to be. No. I've been making it smaller for years. That landed. For a moment, neither of us filled the silence. I could hear crickets on his end. On mine, the hum of our refrigerator. Ordinary sounds. Real ones. Not rented elegance. You know we counted on that transfer, he said. That's the problem. Another long pause. Then, quieter than before, people are asking questions. Of course they were. When money shifts, so does posture. So does pride. I pictured the speeches ending, the champagne thinning out, the event coordinator whispering about declined cards. Not dramatic collapse. Just small fractures. The kind that spread slowly under polished surfaces. I'm not your backup plan anymore, I said. And when I hung up, I didn't feel victorious. I felt unhooked. But I had no idea what they were about to do next. The next morning my mom called. Not Dad. Mom. Her voice was shaky in a way that almost felt rehearsed. Your father was humiliated last night. I made coffee slowly, letting the machine drip between her pauses. Humiliated how? They had to move funds around. The club manager pulled him aside. People noticed. People noticed. Not that their son hadn't been invited. Not that they'd insulted his wife. They noticed a declined payment. I never meant for it to happen at the party, I said honestly. Well, it did. Marissa sat across from me, cradling her mug. She wasn't eavesdropping. She was grounding me. There's a difference. Mom continued, your father built relationships there. Important ones. So did I said quietly. Just not the kind that require a wire transfer. She didn't like that either. Then she shifted tactics. We've always pushed you because we see your potential. You married beneath your trajectory. That one landed differently. Not explosive. Just cold. I looked at Marissa. She was still, but her jaw tightened slightly. That tiny human tell, barely visible, was enough. You don't get to define my trajectory, I said. Colton. No. You don't. Another silence. This one heavier. You're choosing her over us, Mom whispered. I took a breath. No, I said. I'm choosing us over pretending. And for the first time in my life, I didn't rush to fix the silence that followed. 3 days later, Dad showed up at my shop. Not in a suit. Not polished. Just jeans and the same old work boots he used to wear when I was a kid, handing him nails from a toolbox. He stood near the open garage bay while one of my guys finished loading a unit into a truck. The air smelled like Freon and fresh asphalt warming under the sun. You busy? He asked. Always, I said. But I waved him toward my office anyway. He sat down slowly, looking around at the framed certifications on the wall. The small photo of Marissa and me at the county fair. The whiteboard with job schedules written in blue marker. You built something solid here, he said. I did. He nodded, almost to himself. I shouldn't have sent that text. It wasn't dramatic. No tears. No speech. Just a simple sentence that felt like it cost him something. And I shouldn't have depended on you like that, he added. That part surprised me. We were trying to keep up, he admitted. It got away from us. I didn't gloat. I didn't lecture. I just let him say it. Marissa isn't an embarrassment, I said. She's the reason I stopped being one. He looked at me differently then. Not as a backup plan. Not as a wallet. As a man. The anniversary fallout didn't destroy them. It forced them to downsize. Sell the membership. Quietly restructure. And for the first time, our relationship wasn't built on transfers. It was built on terms we both had to respect. Not perfect, but finally, honest,